Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because, well, we are tackling a subject that has literally captivated the world's imagination for decades. We're going to dive right in and try to separate the hard facts from the wild fiction surrounding America's most famous secret base. I mean, just imagine a place so secretive that for years, the government point-blank refused to admit it even existed. A place hidden deep within the desert, surrounded by ominous warning signs, armed security, and just endless conspiracy theories. I'm talking, of course, about Area 51.
So here's the massive central mystery we're unraveling today. What is Area 51 really hiding? For generations, people all over the globe have passionately debated this exact question. On one hand, you've got thousands who genuinely believe it holds the remains of crashed UFOs or even extraterrestrial life. And on the other hand, experts argue, it's just a highly classified military testing facility where the US develops its absolute most advanced tech. So, which is it? Is it alien technology or is it human ingenuity wrapped in a ton of extreme paranoia? Let's find out.
To truly wrap our heads around the myth, we kinda have to ground ourselves in the geography first. Area 51 is located about 120 miles northwest of Las Vegas, sitting right beside the completely dry bed of Groom Lake. The surrounding land is part of the vast Nevada Test and Training Range. But you know what's really wild? Despite being this massive, sprawling physical location, for decades, it simply did not appear on any public maps. No official documents mentioned its name, and even commercial pilots actively avoided the restricted airspace above it. To the outside world, it was literally just an empty, dusty stretch of desert.
But as you can probably guess, it certainly wasn't empty. It was a literal fortress. By the early 1960s, Area 51 had become one of the most heavily secured locations in the entire United States. We're talking armed guards patrolling the perimeter day and night. They actually had motion sensors buried right beneath the desert sand to catch anyone trying to sneak in. Heavily restricted airspace, obviously. And honestly, my personal favorite detail, employees were flown into the base every single morning on these completely unmarked white airplanes that later earned the very unofficial nickname Janet Airlines. These workers lived under incredibly strict secrecy. I mean, they couldn't even tell their own families where they went to work every day. Silence wasn't just expected, it was absolutely mandatory. And as we'll see, that level of extreme security directly fueled the public's imagination.
Section 1. A Cold War Catalyst. The search for a secret location.
So before we can even begin to understand all the UFO sightings, we actually have to travel back to the 1950s to figure out why this base was created in the first place. The world was totally on edge. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in the Cold War, which was this incredibly tense, silent battle of intelligence and military power. The US was absolutely desperate to see what the Soviets were planning. But, satellite technology didn't really exist yet, and traditional aircraft just couldn't fly high enough to dodge enemy defenses. The CIA needed an immediate solution, and crucially, they needed a completely unobservable place to test it out. Enter Groom Lake, officially selected in 1955. It was this isolated, perfectly hidden dry lake bed surrounded by mountains and miles away from any major cities. It was the absolute perfect blank slate for America's most top secret aviation program. And the very first aircraft tested at this newly designated Area 51 was just unlike anything the world had ever seen before. It was the U-2 spy plane. Designed by the legendary engineer Clarence Kelly Johnson and his brilliant team at Lockheed Skunk Works, the U-2 was a total game changer. Its mission was simple in theory, but incredibly dangerous in practice. Fly deep into Soviet territory, photograph military bases, and get back completely undetected. And it worked. It changed modern intelligence gathering forever, allowing the US to peer right inside its greatest rival's backyard without ever sending a single soldier into enemy territory. Now, this incredible leap in technology is exactly where the rumors started. Think about it. In the 1950s, standard commercial airliners flew at relatively low altitudes. But the U-2 spy plane, and later aircraft like the SR-71, flew at insanely high altitudes, far, far above most fighter jets of the era. So when commercial pilots and everyday civilians happened to spot this bright, glowing silver object moving completely silently across the sky at an absolutely impossible altitude, they had zero frame of reference for what they were looking at. Naturally, reports of strange flying objects absolutely skyrocketed across America. Because the technology was just so far ahead of its time, many witnesses genuinely truly believed they had just laid eyes on an alien spacecraft.
But here is the crucial point. The government couldn't reveal the existence of the secret U-2 program. That official silence allowed UFO stories to spread even faster. Think about their position. Officials couldn't just hold a press conference and say, hey, don't worry folks, that's just our top secret new spy plane. Doing that would instantly ruin their massive strategic advantage against the Soviets. So what did they do? They gave no explanation at all. Nothing. And that official stone-cold silence directly birthed the extraterrestrial rumors. Every single unexplained sighting just made Area 51 seem that much more mysterious.
Section 2. Birth of Black Projects, Pushing the Limits of Aviation. As the Cold War really escalated into the 1960s, the base expanded and the technology got even wilder. Engineers at Area 51 started developing what became known as Black Projects. These were programs so deeply classified that even top government officials often had absolutely zero idea they existed. Take the A-12 Oxcart, for example. This thing was capable of flying more than 3 times the speed of sound. And its successor, the SR-71 Blackbird, it actually became one of the fastest aircraft ever built by human hands. These planes were operating at mind-bending speeds and extreme altitudes, but they weren't just fast. Visually, they were completely bizarre. And these bizarre, highly futuristic designs explain exactly why witnesses thought they were seeing UFOs. When you stop and consider the highly unusual shapes, the razor-sharp angles, and the completely strange flight patterns of these black projects, it is incredibly easy to understand why the public reacted the way they did. Throughout the 60s and 70s, reports just exploded describing glowing lights, silent black triangles, crafts making totally impossible turns, and strange, sharp-angled shapes accelerating way faster than anything known to the general public. To an ordinary person standing out in the middle of the Nevada or California desert, these advanced military aircraft genuinely looked like technology not made by human hands.
Section 3. Fiction blends with reality. The Hollywood effect.
So as these incredible real-world sightings started to merge with existing American folklore, something truly fascinating happened. We can trace exactly how an uncontrollable pop culture myth is born. It actually all starts back in 1947, years before Area 51 was even established, with the incredibly famous Roswell incident. That's where the military initially claimed they had recovered a flying disc, before very quickly changing their story to a weather balloon. Fast forward to 1955, and the Groom Lake base is established to test the U-2. Now, as the extreme secrecy around Area 51 grew in the following decades, the public's imagination naturally started connecting the dots. Rumors started flying that debris, and maybe even alien bodies from the Roswell crash, were secretly shipped straight to Area 51. By the 1980s and 90s, Hollywood totally seized on this idea. Massive blockbuster films like Independence Day absolutely cemented the concept of Area 51 as this underground alien laboratory in the global public mind. Suddenly, the line between military fact and science fiction became almost impossible to separate.
But even if you completely strip away the Hollywood movies and the pop culture, a very real, very valid question still remains. If it was just airplanes, why the extreme silence? Why did the government stubbornly refuse to even acknowledge the base's existence for decades? Why the buried motion sensors, the heavily armed guards, and the mandatory absolute silence from every single former employee? Every unanswered question just created another huge mystery, and every new mystery bred a brand new conspiracy.
Section 4. The Bob Lazar Cliffhanger. The Man Who Stepped Forward.
Which brings us to a massive turning point in our explainer today, because in 1989, that decades-long silence was finally explosively broken. A man named Bob Lazar stepped directly into the public spotlight. He publicly claimed that he had worked inside a highly secretive sector of Area 51, and what he said completely transformed the narrative forever. Lazar claimed that he had personally witnessed and even worked on reverse engineering non-human technology hidden deep inside the base. He said he saw things that could change the course of humanity forever. Now, regardless of what you personally believe about his story, the impact of his statements is totally undeniable. Lazar's claims single-handedly shifted Area 51 from being a heavily guarded, relatively niche military secret into arguably the absolute most famous conspiracy theory on planet Earth. And that leaves us with our final, deeply provocative question. Is Bob Lazar actually telling the truth, or is this simply the greatest hoax in modern history? For decades now, Area 51 has remained one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Some look at the hard evidence we covered today, the U-2, the SR-71, the desperate need for Cold War secrecy, and conclude, hey, it's purely a military testing facility. Others look at the intense, almost paranoid secrecy, the Roswell connections, and Lazar's explosive testimony, and they are utterly convinced it hides secrets that totally defy human understanding. The ultimate truth might still be locked right behind those heavily guarded gates out in the Nevada desert. I really hope this explainer helped you understand exactly how this incredible story evolved from a dry, dusty lake bed into a massive global phenomenon. Keep questioning the unknown, and thank you so much for joining me today to explore the endlessly fascinating mystery of Area 51.